Hello, I'm Monroe Superhero. You're watching my channel, so hope you're having a good day. Yeah, I didn't get to post my part 3 of Team 13 last week, so it's going to be a rather long video. I also wanted to let people know that I do not play Dungeons and Dragons anymore. The reason for that is my character, Theresoelae, who I created in D&D under AD&D First Edition rules, as a non-magical psionic elf. She does not cast spells. She will never cast. It doesn't have the capability. And all these people, for almost 40 years, have told me overpowered and way too game breaking for them. So that is besides the point. They never allowed her to be played, so they don't really know. The point is, I have had to play my backup character for so many years that I finally just said, enough's enough, I want to play this character. And they still told me no. So I went to a different game system. She doesn't break the game. She never has. She never will. They don't understand her personality. That's fine. I'm not worried about that. What I am worried about is people saying that I hate D&D. I don't hate the game. I hate the people who do not want to try other things, that are stuck in the idea of the 4 core classes, and that is all that should ever be in D&D. I pity you. I really do. I want you all to have fun. I want you all to enjoy your game. But I will never play it ever again. I do not play Pathfinder 2nd Edition for the same reason. They decided to make psionics magic. They're casting spells invisibly, and that's not what psionics are. I do not hate them. I think the system is much better than D&D 5e. Actually, I looked into it. I studied it. I think it's a great game. But I'm not allowed to play the character I want to play. So, I'm not playing. It's that simple. I hope you have fun. I really do. As for the argument that psionics are a sci-fi invention, that is entirely false. It's been in the fantasy genre for over 100 years and been in reality for thousands of years because people claim to be psychic. They do not claim to be casting spells. Okay, that said, there are other fantasy novels than The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. There are other fantasy novels other than The Forgotten Realms and Dragonlance. Even D&D had a world that had psionics, and they had psionics that were separate from magic, because magic killed the world. That world was called Dark Sun. Psionics didn't destroy the world. Magic did. So they made sure you knew they were separate things. The Wizard of Oz is a fantasy novel. Alice in Wonderland is a fantasy novel. Peter Pan is a fantasy novel. Just because you see only The Lord of the Rings as fantasy novel, then you do not understand what fantasy actually is. It is imagination. It is expanding your ideas. And that I want to make sure people know. Your world can have anything in a fantasy world. Anything at all. You want a cat that can teleport across the universe? Go for it. Make fun. Have fun. And enjoy the world that you create. Okay. That said, the little rant is over with. I do hope that you all have fun. I hope you all enjoy your games. Now on to Team 13. Now, mind you, this is from last week's game. And I will go into this week's game as well. Okay, Astra was surrounded by giant owl and human hybrids. Hundreds hooted and screamed as they flew in a circle over her head. She kept calm and was distracted by the realization that she had traveled about 14 kilometers in a matter of seconds. The one that plucked her from the sky spoke in Spanish. "You will help us," it demanded. "You are magic. You fly without wings. You will lead us to food." We saw that around 10 or so owls formed a circle around her. "What do you eat?" she asked. "Hearts, souls," the owl hissed. "What human we can find on this island tastes foul. We need you to find more humans for us so that we can feast." Astra felt a rope around her leg. It was well tied, and she tried to undo it. As she did, the owl trilled. "Fly! Fly like you did!" Astra cleared her head and felt her feet leave the nest. She heard excited hooting all around her. "We will never starve," one said. When she came down, she learned that they were called Stikini. At one time, they lived near the Spanish colony named St. Augustine. One day, men arrived with evil magic, summoned a god of chaos that consumed the world. It was described as a shimmering mushroom cloud, similar to what was dropped in Japan. By now, Leon was covered in streaks of brightly colored zombie blood. Near him, the ended head of Lord Varuna, his eyes following Team 13. Amid the violence, Leon saw a demon with horns and red skin. He fired at him. Lippy, noticing the briefcase, stood between the two, de-escalating. The demon asked if they were not from around here. The team agreed. The demon introduced himself as Mephistopheles, and that he was an infinity lawyer. He was finishing up some mess left behind by the other team. He then mentioned that God was revolted by what he saw would soon bring about the apocalypse. There was no set date. Rose asked if they could talk to another god to get some answers or at least opinions. Weller took out his BlackBerry, Storm, and dialed what looked like a random number. "Well, best of luck," he said. "Also, I may have revealed the secret to this reality, Satan. Bye," he said, and he was enveloped in a cloud of sulfur. It then became bright. At the nest, the owls hopped around and hooted. "Food!" they began to chat. Astra scooped up was scooped up by one of the Stikini. They saw a giant 300-foot tall man with a falcon head. He carried a crook and a whip. He had the falcon's face and two eyes that burned with energy, and they could physically feel above his head a small sun. Ra, Rose said. He put a nice bottle of wine in the hand of he had in his hand and showed him for. Under Rusty spoke, very diplomatically, smiling, choosing his words very carefully. Ra then stepped down to take the wine. The team, thinking they could hop on, were dropped by Ra. He stood examining the bottle. Suddenly a swarm of owls flew in, tearing at him with their talons. Ra saw Astra and angrily glared at the group. He now believes he was set up by the humans. He slowly swung at the Stikini, but they proved too fast for him. They were quickly peeling strips of skin, and a large number had gathered around his heart. The team fought back, Leon shooting Lippy, wrestling, Eddie rocking, Rose leading, and Astra trying to protect Ra. It did not matter, he was furious, and focused his energies on the group. He was too distracted, though, and had set the jungle on fire. Rose had either intimidated them all away, or they were sated. Ra, grievously injured, fell into the water unconscious. The team noticed that he could float. Using some clever use of his sin, they were soon in Kingston, where, using ropes and pulleys, cotton, and hundreds of yards of canvas, had patched up his injuries. They went to a ship that had a gun had run aground, and found the captain's log. Here's what it said, starting from the most recent entry. A large wave shaped like a hand pushed them onto a reef. The captain was told that hell had opened in Spanish Florida colony, and he then wrote, God has forsaken us. Heard of a pirate named Simply Terror, and maybe the new Flying Dutchman. While in Cuba, he came across the remnants of a destroyed ship. There were bodies as well as small men with pointed ears and small folk with dragonfly wings. A comet seen in the sky had disappeared. He saw the sky shifting color as stars arced around the sky. He saw huge men flying or looming in the horizon. Angels sing in the clouds. Here's the legend of Bonebeard. Things will get worse from here on. Now, last night's game, Astra and the team of 13, we did have fun last night, yes. We came across Boney and St. Augustine, also known as Bonebeard the pirate. He had created more bread people and fruit people. He had a giant pineapple who he said had a beautiful singing voice but was actually just shrieking. Banana person, and all sorts of different things. They actually got information about Theresoelae from him, saying that she had asked him to create a large tree a few kilometers away. He refused to go back. That he was talking with his old friend Dar, who was the Cleomancer, who has a really big beef with Liam, and that Dar had no problems with Theresoelae or any of the other members of Team 13, including Yoshi and himself, just with Liam. they discovered that Theresoelae had used the tree as a portal to her homeworld, where she was attacking the elves with air. Or at least she was going to. The plan was to attack at dawn. As they arrived, Astra flew over to the mainland and was talking to one of the elves, and she told them that they were looking for someone, and they asked who. And when she mentioned the name Theresoelae, they said, "Get out of here. She is not welcome here. She will die if she ever steps foot on this land ever again." Not knowing that Theresoelae had come back. The elves of Thayer hate Theresoelae because I wrote them that way. Next week, we actually go and find out what happens with Theresoelae and her attempted to kill the elves of Thayer. I hope this is going to be a fun game. So far, it's been a blast. I have enjoyed it. Seeing Theresoelae in her more villainous mode is actually more fun for me because I originally wrote her to be a villain. She was never meant to be a superhero. I don't know why so many people wanted me to play her as a superhero. But that is the adventures that we've had for the past couple of weeks. I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you later. Whatever you do, continue to play your games. Have fun. I don't want you to think that my experiences with D&D are going to be your experience. I just hope you all have fun. Links to my books are in the description box below. And I will see you next week. Bye.